All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Forging Theories MCU podcast. I am Lewis, and I have two of the best people to talk about what else but the Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever trailer number 2. We got a drop here, and it was fantastic. So initial thoughts, guys. Initial thoughts. I had to pick my jaw up off the floor. I got emotional. I got choked up. How'd you guys feel on this?
I definitely it's going to be a very emotional movie for sure. Um, are we talking spoilers or not?
Listen, okay, we'll throw the warning out there. If you guys don't want to hear any spoilers, theories, rumors, I'm sorry, but we live in 2022. I don't know how you're avoiding all of it. So we're talking about everything, man. Let's go.
Okay, so spoiler alert. I think it's common knowledge now that Shuri is probably going to be the Black Panther taking that mantle of the Black Panther up. So
I have something to that potentially.
okay,
Potentially.
yeah, go ahead. I'm all ears.
Do we think that it could be like not Shuri, right? That's just how I'm gonna open it up. Could it possibly just be someone else? I know it looks like a petite, feminine character. However, like, what if it's a Koye? What if it's someone else? Like CGI just kind of like changed their body type in general. Like, is it possible that someone else just grabs that and goes?
I always forget the girlfriend's name from the first Black Panther movie, and it's probably just because she never got involved with any of the other MCU projects.
Yeah,
Um,
Isn't it India, like N-DIA?
not Nakia. Nakia?
Is that
Nakia?
is that the girlfriend's name?
you could put a gun to my head right now, and I would fail. Like I legit do not remember her name. She was awesome. She's a great character, but I just do not remember her name.
Yeah, those were the two that people have speculated for the new Black Panther. To
Yeah,
answer you,
Nakia.
yeah, to answer you, Greg, who else would it be? Like, I, I I mean, Okoye, maybe, possibly, but I can't see. Okay, I'll follow it up with this. I think Marvel plans on doing an Okoye show, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's gonna be her.
No, who's the group though? There's that group that they're supposed to be introducing. We talked about it previously. Yeah, it's escaping me now. I keep thinking is like demons and angels, but that's something along. It's like their elite like task force. Like they're rolling up on you and you're done. Like it is a step above the Dora Milaje.
Oh, oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'm drawing a blank there on that name. I know exactly what you're referencing, but the name escapes me.
I can't. It's gosh. Well, who are they? All right, I'm gonna pull it up. We're gonna figure it out. However, continue though. What like, dude? In this, can we just talk for real quick? I know you're on to something, Harry, and I got off track already. So shout out to live. But did this? Do you guys ever have it where like you're watching something and you get so into it that like the walls disappear, like the TV stand disappears? I don't know who's sitting next to me. Like I just get so lost and into this. It happens to me every time. I've watched it on my phone and the TV now, and each time it takes me somewhere else. Just lost.
I know exactly what you're talking about. When that Deadpool announcement came by, like that was all eyes on that footage, man. Like just seeing what what gag he was gonna pull on us. Is
Yeah.
this real? Like I slipped away, but I had that same feeling with this trailer too. I only got to watch it once just because I was busy at work, but yeah, the trailer was mind blowing. They're pulling up, they're stepping up their game with the trailers on this one, and there's a lot of emotional weight behind it,
Yeah.
and but it is a really big deal. I feel like it's going to be the next big thing for Marvel
Yeah.
on their slate of movies.
And it's funny because we just talked about it last night too. Like we kind of ended yesterday's podcasts with, there's some big things happening. How big could this movie be? Is it the biggest thing in Phase 4? But like this made it feel even bigger. Like the thought of my expectations, I don't feel like they're unattainable, but I feel like a 9.5 or like a 10 out of 10 is very possible for this movie.
I just want to say one thing right now. So I think why it makes you kind of lose, focus, so to speak, is yes, it looks to be like they are going to kill off um, um, Black Panther, the original Black Panther,
Mm,
but also there is a realism to the movie as well because R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. Everybody knows
for
that
sure.
there is a realism to the movie, like Fast and Furious, Paul Walker.
Oh, that's a good comparison. That's a real. I don't know why I never thought of that.
Yeah. So I cried in Fast and Furious 7. I will admit it.
For
Every man,
sure. When
every
the
man
cars when
cries.
they split off on the coastline, dude, his
Yeah.
GTR just over. Oh,
Yeah. So I mean, I don't necessarily agree. Which this is a little rant, but I don't necessarily agree with his character still being in that universe. But that's my rant.
yeah,
But anyway,
yeah,
but back
yeah.
on Black Panther. Yeah, but with this movie, there's going to be a whole lot of realism to the movie because of Chadwick Boseman in that circumstance.
For
So
sure. I mean, we haven't really touched on that, but like seeing this trailer and just how emotional everyone feels. One, I couldn't imagine. Oh, there's a guy in here. We got a comment. 10 out of 10 for this movie. Mr. Jalapeno, what is up? I don't know if he'll be joining us on video, but if he's here in spirit, appreciate you, my man.
Whoop.
But I think Fabian, what you we'll switch. I want to talk about this for a second. How did you feel seeing Namor in this second trailer? Right, because people were kind of knocking on him for a ridiculous reason, in my opinion, of like, you hear these jokes, and I'm not going to say them on here, but like everyone's got their jokes about when he was coming out of the water and stuff like that, and like how he's not as fit as he should have been for a Namor character. And then you see all these people on like TikTok, YouTube, they're throwing up the comic pictures and photos of him where like, dude, this guy's arm is just wider than his body if you look at him from the front. Like everyone's kind of ragging on him, saying like, oh, this isn't Namor. How is he supposed to be stronger than any of the Avengers and blah 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 blah? Like, how did you feel seeing him kind of in action? Like we got more looks.
I got a couple things. First of all, as far as his physique, he looks fine. And
Agree.
when it comes to superpowered beings, why would a superpowered being look like Brock Lesnar? Why would he look like John
100%.
Cena, completely ripped? Some of the best versions of Superman are where he looks like just like a normal, like I don't want to say scrawny, but like just like a normal dude walking by. That power coming from someone that just looks like a normal person is far more surprising and carries more weight, to me at least. And I feel like that should just be the normal standard.
For sure.
As far as how he was in the trailer, I never thought in my life that those little feathers on his ankles would look cool.
Yes.
We've reached the point in the MCU where that isn't weird. Like you
Yeah.
throw that on the screen and it came out just fine. The way he was like kind of just stepping in the air, it's like he was just gliding through the air, and
Yeah.
it looked like with each one of those steps, if he was going to step on someone midair, he was messing them up. Like there was
Yeah.
power to those steps.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Those little feathers are putting in work.
Yeah.
But as far as his dialogue and performance, I think he hits the nail on the head, man. I've been a big fan of Namor for a long time. I've read a lot of his 60s appearances back when he was like fighting the Fantastic Four and was just like the generic bad guy, but also just teetering the line between bad and good.
Yeah.
And then he still carries that mantle all the way up until he's wielding the Phoenix Force. I
Which is
think he embodies
nuts.
the character very well. and the different rendition of him being of Mayan descent, indigenous.
Yep.
That's just the icing on the cake. It's a refreshing addition.
100% agree with you. A lot of people, I went back and I watched a new Rockstars video that was, I want to say it was like June or July. I'll be honest with you guys. I was stumbling a little bit when I was thinking about who Atuma could be. Is that going to be the main villain? Like, what's the story there? How do they change his character in terms of, for lack of a better words, his beef with Namor, right? And, that was around the time we got some concept art that was coming out. We got some leaks. We saw Namor's design, and then we saw Atuma's design, and we saw something like Namor's design. Like, we saw the characters, and you see the comments, and people are just like, why would they change the backstory? This isn't who it's supposed to be. Blah, 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 blah. Like, you have your classic naysayers that are part of any fandom. But I think that this video really solidified and showcased, one, that power that you were showing. Two, just like, think about this. And I'm curious what you guys think here. We were just talking before the Deadpool 3 Ryan Reynolds announcement. And I remember sending a message and being like, man, the Thunderbolts aren't it. They're not going to be the ones who are going to replace the Avengers. Man, like, this team is going to get wrecked by Kang. Like, who's really going to stop anyone from an Avengers level standpoint? And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, Deadpool, boom, Wolverine, boom, we could get some more mutants. And then bam, Namor. If Namor's on the side of, like, thinking of who can defeat Kang, I don't know, man. This last week we have a squad.
I feel like Namor is going to ultimately end up on the Wakanda side of things. I think the conflict is going to turn towards another person. It's going to be some sort of betrayal.
Yep.
And Namor is going to end up on the side of good. So
Yep.
that's where I'm leaning towards. Hopefully that happens. If it doesn't happen in this movie, maybe it'll happen in another project, but we'll see.
I do want to say, we all know that Black Adam comes out at the end of the month. So as you said, Greg, there have been some heavy hitters as of late. So maybe Marvel has, they're not, me and you have had this conversation. Marvel's not dumb.
No.
So, I mean, maybe they've released these heavy hitters for a reason. And, I wouldn't be surprised if, we got maybe a little more of a tease right, before Black Adam came out.
Squash that movie for sure.
And it wouldn't surprise, and we won't get on DC because I know it's not a DC podcast. But it wouldn't surprise me if we got something a little more just right before Black Adam.
Yeah, I think maybe along the villain side. I think that's the only thing that's missing, at least for me, is you see the conflict between Talokan and Wakanda, and kind of this next, everyone's calling it Wakanda 2.0 and those types of things. Like, okay, but for the runtime that they have, for all the emotional investment that's going to be in here, who's going to be kind of the antagonist, right? We talked about the government and those types of things. Like, everyone kind of is going to want these civilizations or the tech that they have for maybe that same reason, right? The Avengers are disassembled. The Thunderbolts are going to be that low-key group. Shield doesn't exist. Swords looks pretty junky after WandaVision. Like, someone, I mean, think of it from my standpoint, or from the world leader standpoint. Who is going to protect you from the next Thanos that's out there? We know how big the universe is.
I mean, the first thing that my brain went to would be, since Kang has control over time, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Definitely seems that way for sure.
I mean, my mind goes directly to the TVA.
Okay, so you think the TVA could potentially be that villainous
I mean, hey,
background?
I'm not. No, like a shield, a good shield. Excuse me.
Interesting.
I mean that. Go ahead.
Does He Who Remains, did he know about what's happening?
The The variant or Kang the Conqueror?
Either any variant. Like, are the events that are going to happen in Wakanda Forever, were those already laid out? Like, where I don't know where that's going to fit in the timeline.
Yeah, and I'm probably wrong. This is all speculation.
That's the best part.
But I'm not for sure.
He spoke in Loki like as if he didn't know what was coming next. Like he like once he was going to die, he had no idea what was going to transpire after that. But all he knew is that it was going to create variants of himself that he's dealt with before,
Yeah.
and it wasn't going to be pretty.
Huh. Is so where would this fall from a timeline perspective then? So let's say post Loki, but would
I
this
don't
kind of
think.
go
Go
ahead?
ahead. I don't think we'll really get any legitimate answers until Ant-Man Quantumania, until we actually get to see Kang the Conqueror, not the variant Kang. Um, I mean, we'll actually get to see. Hopefully, we'll get to see what his agenda is. Hopefully, we'll get some answers. It's not just going to be like a 5-second cameo like Thanos made in Avengers, the original
Yeah.
Avengers.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't think it'll be that.
Back to the topic of the trailer. Dude, it's so easy to get off track on this, man,
It is.
because it's the best part about the MCU though.
Yeah.
You can take any little piece and plug it somewhere else and be like, does this fit? Does it not? Like, side note, I had someone ask me like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing the lives? Why are you doing the podcast? Why do you even want to go that route? And I'm like, never before in my life have I had something that has gone on for this long outside of like a video game or an animated series or something along like a book, something paper. Like, you are getting movie quality stuff that is going to connect in one way or another, and it's coming out quick. Like, it's amazing. There's nothing like this. There's nothing like it. So of course I want to talk about it. But in terms of the trailer, what was like your biggest wow moment for each of you guys?
So there seems to be this entire like aura around Black Panther's mother
Mm,
that she is not going to make it out of this movie.
I feel that way
I feel like
too.
that trailer was dropping those hints, and I was like, I'm not ready for that. No, please. We already are
Yeah.
probably gonna have to deal with enough emotional weight in this movie, and that would just be another thing to really drive us home into just crying buckets in the theater. Like,
Yep.
especially if it's happening in front of like Shuri and she's like powerless
Mhm.
to do it. I envision like this stuff happening right in front of her, and she just about has it and dons the armor. She gets the suit,
Yeah.
because I mean, I still think it's her. Like, I feel like there's very little other options, and it has to be her. I mean, she makes the stuff.
It should be. And I feel this way with Shuri too, is I don't feel like she's planned. Like, I almost feel that no one ever wants to pick up the mantle or be the next Black Panther, but it's like you gotta, the invasion's happening, the flood's happening, like whoever is attacking them and this war that's going on between Wakanda and Telecon and everything like that. Like, it's like kind of like, let me grab the suit because I don't want to leave. I'm gonna leave everything behind, but I'm gonna take this. And I feel like it's kind of like an end in Act 3 piece where she just pops in
Maybe
wearing it.
maybe the suit is maybe like a last resort, just because
Yeah.
she doesn't want to, disrespect her brother. Um, and she doesn't. Maybe she wants to put that in the past because that was, out of respect, that was her brother's thing,
Mm,
and he was the protector.
yeah.
Um, but I think this movie will put the Wakandans and the Wakandans in a pickle, and she'll have to, take that mantle and be the protector, or someone will, whether
Yeah.
it's her or Nakia or someone.
Do we think that part of the plot might be that? And I maybe this was addressed in the first movie, and I'm just not remembering. Maybe it's the fact that she's a woman, that there's never been a female Panther that has done that power, and maybe that's part of where maybe she wants to, but doesn't. She's not allowed to due to tradition.
Yeah. Which is interesting because isn't it a panther goddess?
Yeah,
So, I mean, think about it. From at least from what we know, you had King T'Chaka, and then you had King T'Challa, and then whoever steps up and takes the throne, is it the queen? Something
Right.
happens. They all have to kind of go, because you figure like everyone. I look at like Asgard, right? Asgard has gone through as a kingdom. They've gone through the high of high all the way to being completely displaced into a small town on Earth that is, uniquely its own. But it almost feels to me that something happens. The kingdom is destroyed or taken over, and then that's where you get like M'Baku coming in and like taking charge, and like they're living in the caves and off on the side and doing those kinds of things. And whoever is taken over, is it, Atuma, Namor, Doom, who knows? But man, what if M'Baku took over and was Black Panther? Would you guys be okay with that?
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Even if he doesn't touch that mantle, this movie better have a premium fight scene for him,
Yeah.
Yes.
because I love that actor. I love his portrayal of that character. Um, I'm I'm glad that he turned out the way he did in the first movie, where he was
Yeah.
kind of just like the ally at the end, because like he's historically just a Black Panther villain, the Man-Ape.
Yep.
Um, but the way they reworked him to be like this real honorable fighter, I hope he gets like a real awesome fight scene.
Well,
And
and
he
not just
should.
that. Not just that. I think he should get a significant role, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure.
But does he give you guys death vibes though?
No,
Not for here. No,
not for him.
he's a little bit too like separated from like the main little group of the original story to for that to happen to me.
Yeah. 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 No, I'll agree. I saw some of those things. And when I did, I threw up. Well, I didn't throw up, but I grabbed a few comments. I'm going to read off some comments to you guys, and I'm curious of what you think here. Now, this is right off of Marvel Entertainment. So these are the people who are making the comments on the actual trailer video. I'm not going to say names. However, comment number one: to be honest, I really don't get all the hype for this film. The first one was solid, but very overrated, probably a 7 out of 10. And then this one, they're not even recasting T'Challa, and they've changed Namor. Two big L's already, and the movie isn't even out yet. Still gonna watch, but going in with extremely low expectations. LOL.
I think that goes to there's like two sides to the whole like being woke movement, and there's the ones that like want to like completely change the way you live and the way you refer to things, and
Yeah.
how you're gonna refer to me, how you're gonna refer to them, and that's a no go. But then there's the ones that like hate on just the idea of like just having diverse casts,
Yeah.
having diverse movies, having things that are not the same copy and paste stuff that we've had for years,
Right.
putting more culture into movies. And I feel like that comment is just screaming that, because like just the first one, overrated. Um, why was it overrated? Why was it awarded for Emmy? Because it had a significant impact to the Black culture.
Yep.
It was an important movie for the Black culture, and movies can be nominated for that when they have that much of a cultural significance. Um, so I mean, like the final act of the first movie was a little bit hit or miss for me, just with the CGI battle. I would have liked them to have more of a hand-to-hand combat,
Agree.
like kind of like a Creed battle, masks off, like
Yep.
personal, up in each other's faces. But it still sufficed regardless.
Of course.
And as far as the whole thing with Namor, I mean, you had to do something. You had to do something with him to one to get him taken seriously. Because I mean, the little feathers, and then him being basically, even though he was the original Aquaman, he fell into Aquaman's shadow because he was utilized in a way different way than Aquaman was back in the comics. So he wasn't the good guy. He wasn't up there um, with the Avengers constantly. He wasn't. He was kind of a bad guy, a king. So he ruled Atlantis with an iron fist. Meanwhile, Aquaman was running around, uh, chilling with the Justice League, and talking to fish and just chilling, being the joke. He rose to his popularity, and Namor didn't. So they had to do something to rework him because Aquaman's kind of like a Samoan person now somehow, and you're muted. Wait, can you guys hear me?
You're muted, man.
I see you talking.
Oh, I got fired up on that one. I didn't realize I muted myself on my mic, but I didn't realize that. Yeah. User error. Before I did talk over. I'm sorry. Is that not wild to think for a second though? That like you get the Samoan look, and they leaned hard in the Jason Momoa look. But like, go look at the comics. Those two characters are not similar. Just saying. Very different, but I digress. Continue. I'm sorry.
Because it's Jason Momoa.
Yeah, basically. I think people just accepted it because he looked badass. Like he
Yeah.
and
He does.
you know
He does.
Samoa and all that stuff. You're very close to the ocean. It kind of just makes sense.
I wouldn't necessarily say Namor looks badass, but I would say that he has that look of just like, I don't want to say intimidating, but very like
Intense.
commands respect.
yes, so very commanding, commands respect. Absolutely.
But anyways, I forgot what the original question was now. Now that I was just ranting about Aquaman versus the comment. Yeah, the comment. Yeah, it basically just comes down to that, where I feel like there's a layer of like the anti wokeness,
Yeah.
like the whole like I'm anti diversity, I'm anti whatever differences you're gonna make, and part of it is just like people just don't like change. People don't like developments in these things. I mean, you look at even some of the most successful products in all of history. You make a Super Mario game, and you make the basic Super Mario game, and then you try and do something different, like Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
Super Mario 64 sold way less than any other remake of the original Super Mario. People just want to go feel comfortable and get back to the original way that things were, and that is the comfort food. You look at all the sales numbers, everything that is different than the original aspect of what made someone fall in love with something, that sells more than the stuff that started becoming different. Call of Duty does the same thing every year.
Yes.
Highly successful. Pokemon games, same thing every year. Highly successful. Yeah, just approaching it from a business aspect is that people just don't like change. So when it happens, they find any other way to think, oh, this isn't for me. This isn't going to work out. This isn't going to be good. There's no way this could be good.
I mean, what's the alternative? You completely scrap it and recast, or we do the same. You know what I mean? Like, to recast a character, even though it's very untimely, and I'm sorry, everyone, it's inconvenient for you. Like, what is that? But you have to figure you're adapting with the times, and exactly like you said, taking it back to the beginning statement that you had said, to your point, you're adapting this to the time. I could pull a book out right here and go through the Marvel timeline. Anyone who goes back and looks at the beginning of Namor, beginning of Captain America, what do you think their storylines were fueled by? In the 50s, in the 40s, whatever it might be, 60s, 70s, they're influenced by current events. So now we have an opportunity to, again, adapt everything. And I don't know what that comment is weird. We're gonna ignore that one. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I got another comment here that I want you guys to soak in for a second. Basically responding to one before, where this guy was saying, sometimes I notice they change or alter things for the wrong reasons. Not sure how they'll treat him, meaning Black Panther or Namor, but seeing how the project's been, expectations are low. Okay. Someone comes back and says it's going to be fine. People are overreacting with stuff with the MCU lately. From the trailer alone, Namor already looks like he's going to steal the show, and I highly doubt this will be a typical MCU movie filled with jokes. So do we feel that, I guess the best thing to say here is this movie going to be too heavy? Are there people who are like, yeah, we love the She-Hulk jokes, we love the Ant-Man jokes, we love the Deadpool Ryan Reynolds jokes, we love Thor. Like, is this going to be too much? Like, too heavy of a movie for the MCU?
No. I would say no because, everybody loved Endgame. And Endgame, spoiler, if you've not seen it, go watch it. Natasha died. And in Infinity War, Gamora died. And most everybody liked that movie. They don't like the ending, of course, and basically, listen, at some point you have to trust Marvel until you actually see the movie. Now, if you don't like the movie after you've seen it, yeah, of course, everybody is entitled to your opinion. I mean, if Marvel can make a character like Ant-Man cool,
yeah,
I mean, come on. And I do realize that there is a certain realistic heaviness to this movie with Chadwick Boseman, like we mentioned earlier, but I can't see it being heavy in a depressing sense. I don't think. I think they will touch. I think there will be a funeral like scene, but they won't drag it on for 30, 40 minutes. I think
Sure.
there'll just be like 15 minutes to pay homage, and then there'll be probably references to him, but it won't be drug out for the whole movie. I think overreaction for sure.
Definitely.
There's definitely still going to be jokes. Like, I mean, it's a Marvel movie.
Right.
They're still going to be leaning into that humor. They'll know when to tone it down. Hopefully, we don't want an Age of Ultron situation where it's quick, quip, left and right. Just throw a quip in there during the funeral. Throw a quip during the mother's getting murdered or something. They know how to differentiate the tone.
For sure. Side note, we got a comment from Raha Scoff. Let's all dress in white for this. I didn't know what he was referring to, but for Chadwick, I completely understand now. I don't know. I'm going to try to go to the premiere on Thursday. I don't know if I'll make it. Baby duties. However, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Everyone should be saying Ibambe as like everyone walks in the theater and stuff. Would be wild. That would be nuts.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen solely on Thursday next because usually nowadays I'm seeing a movie on my off day on Friday.
Yeah.
So, and that's if I'm lucky. But this movie's it's gonna be hard to get tickets. My buddy tried to get tickets today, and it was he couldn't get them. He basically gave up.
No.
So I don't know when I'm gonna get to see the movie.
But I know that you will see it. And
Definitely.
when you do see it, we talked about this the other night, but now seeing this trailer, Ironheart. Let's touch on Ironheart for a second. I am very surprised that they showed what looks like a more advanced, albeit chunky suit, but I'm surprised they gave us that footage.
Maybe it had something to do with that toy leak.
Oh,
yeah. It came out I don't know, like a week and a half ago before this trailer.
Yep. The Legends
one. Decided to just Which I've seen like up close pics now and videos of it. It looks decent. The suit if it's usually the Marvel Legends do a pretty good job of reflecting how this stuff's gonna look. And I think the suit looks really good for being a Mark 1 at least.
Yes, and that's the key. I know a lot of people don't realize that in the Ironheart character. I've seen a lot of comments saying, "We don't need another Tony. We don't need another Tony. Aren't we getting Armor Wars? What happened to War Machine? Why are we getting another Iron Man character?" People, just Google some stuff. Like literally go on Marvel, any fandom, and just read a recap of a character, and you'll see Tony Stark's protege. Look at the progression of suits. Like
this happened when she debuted in the comics, man. It was so bad that Marvel published a comic to show how it paid off to Iron Man's legacy to have her there.
Yeah.
So they kind of just like in a meta way wrote a comic that was like, this is why we're doing this. This is why this character is here. Tony's not. I mean, it's comics, so Tony's not gone forever. All these characters will come back someday. But people were flipping out around that time when Riri Williams was Tony Stark or taking over the Iron Man mantle or doing all that stuff. It's the same thing with all the other characters because it was all happening around the same time. Sam Wilson, Captain America, Jane Foster, Thor, X-23, Wolverine, so on and so forth.
But that's a natural progression, though, right? Like, Harry, we've talked about this of like the mantle of Cap, just for example. Like, we're not going to have a passing on ascension in the traditional sense for Black Panther's character, but even for Iron Man or what's his name, Harley.
I don't think we got a last name.
You know who I'm talking about, though, in Iron Man.
Yeah, I think his name is Iron Kid or something like that.
Iron Lad.
Yeah,
Iron Kid.
Close enough.
Hey,
Close
you just put Iron in the name, and we'll figure it out.
Yep, Iron.
We'll just do whatever we can with it.
But yeah, I really want him in. Of course, we'll get back on the trailer after I say this. I really want him in Armor Wars, but
in Armor Wars, Riri has a nice future though. Logic would tell me that she's going to be obviously in her own series, but in an Armor Wars movie, that's 2 movies plus 1 Disney Plus, and we're fleshing out backstory. Like that is kind of a nice formula for introducing a new character to the MCU who's going to have a very, very solid foundation, in my opinion. I don't know how they would change it, but outside of that, I'm curious, what do you guys think her role is going to be in this, though? Is she going to be just like purely supporting character, or is she going to be the one who kind of like saves it at the end of the day?
I'm really curious about that. I have no idea.
Yeah, I not a clue.
I don't even know what she's doing there.
Yeah, she is one of those characters that Marvel has just, let's throw that character in there and we'll just figure out a way to incorporate her into the storyline. And they do a wonderful job. I'm not saying they don't, but I have no idea. Only Marvel can do something like that.
And I wonder if it's kind of going that, like, depending on where she is in her level of education, if she's at MIT, Tony does the whole grant funding, she does something with Wakanda, and she's kind of just there from like a study standpoint.
Yeah.
Or, since they opened the borders, like we haven't really seen anyone say, hey, I want to go to Wakanda for a good reason for the most part. It's someone wants something. Like, hey, we need Wakanda for protection. Hey, we need Wakanda for its advanced technology. Hey, we need Wakanda for, like, what if she's really there just to be like, hey, I'm a student. I'm a, what do we even call it? Not a transfer student. Why am I not thinking the right word?
And you know what? That probably would make sense because, I mean, that would tie up what Chadwick was, or T'Challa was doing at the end of the first Black Panther. So maybe she's just a very well-off student from that area, and she is a big fan of Iron Man as well as Black Panther, and just is kind of just throwing herself in the mix.
Yeah, like imagine that though. You see, she's there studying or doing something. She gets to know the people of Wakanda, and then they get attacked, and they're just like, "We, it's a surprise. We just got ambushed." And she's like, "Give me a few minutes. Let me throw something together real quick here to try to help." Maybe not a few minutes, but interesting, interesting. Any other outlier or characters who you saw in the trailer who you're thinking they've impressed me, like an Okoye or Nakia or someone along those lines of like I want to see more of what they do because they did a good job of protecting this movie, in my opinion, of not revealing too much. Fabian, to your point, I think they did a really good job of. They've been doing a good job. They being Marvel Studios of not throwing these like clickbait trailers. You know, like the Infinity War, you see Hulk running with everyone, and you're like, Hulk's gonna be in the movie, and didn't see him. Period.
That
These
scene still agitates me to this day. I was so hyped to see Hulk running because it seemed like Hulk. But anyways, go on.
Yeah. But no, I mean they're doing a good job with the trailer of teasing and kind of building the excitement and the hype, and each time, right, we're getting more. But where do these sub characters, I guess, kind of fit into the storyline? Like what impact? I know we kind of touched on Baku a little bit, but do you see anyone else?
I want to see what the girl Nakia,
Yeah.
what's her name? I want to see what she's been up to because I mean she kind of just was absent for the whole war, everything with the blip. I'd like to see the effects of the blip on Wakanda
Oh,
because this is also Endgame. What's the word? I'm drawing a
like
blank
the
on the word.
aftermath.
The aftermath of Endgame for Wakanda. We haven't seen anything from them on how that affected them.
Good point.
Yeah, great point.
Interesting.
I'm also really curious to see how they how they kill off. I don't want to use that term, but it is killing off Black Panther. I'm interested to see how they're going to do that.
Yeah. I sometimes like I will kind of like theory craft about every little detail, but that's one like I just start thinking about it and then I just stop
And obviously, they want to do it respectfully.
for sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. It is truthfully tough for me to like go that route and talk about that. Like I kind of just want to see how they do it and just kind of move on in a way respectfully. But interesting. Any thoughts that you guys have had about kind of the twist of the movie? Because now I kind of have a different thought from what we talked about yesterday in terms of the villain. I don't know if it's going to be Doom. However, if Doom influences, say, an Atuma character or something along those lines to kind of do his dirty work for him in a way, I don't know how that's possible, but I think it might be. I don't know. Part of me feels like it's going to be straightforward. It's just going to be that's a conflict. Namor switch sides. He works with the Wakandans to defeat, the evil ones that were controlling telecom.
Yeah, the whole Doom thing, I don't like. I want it, like I want that to happen. But if I starting to put something in there that I want and then it doesn't happen,
Yeah.
like I can't get
Guilty.
mad at the movie because they didn't do what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hype that up for myself too much.
Agree.
Because who knows when they'll choose to debut that character? Because when he does show up, it better be a big deal as it should be.
Right.
I don't think that Doom will. We're not going to see Doom till after Fantastic Four. In my opinion, right now we have Kang. They are saving that golden chip for the right time.
Yeah.
Doom is the most recognizable name to you don't you don't even have to be a Marvel fan to recognize that name.
For sure. And you
So
got to.
they're saving that.
I mean, I think of it this way too. Whoever is the villain of this and opposes Wakanda, they are not going to be that kind of like, I don't know, you look at Winter Soldier, you look at a Ronin, or you look at Ego or whoever it might be. Like, yeah, they get their comeuppance in a certain way. However, you didn't really, I mean, I guess you could want them to, but I just feel like whoever destroys Wakanda and is the person behind that, and if they touch that Chadwick Boseman mural that we keep seeing in the trailers, whoever does that, they are going to be sentenced. Yep. So I almost feel like whoever it is definitely going to be a one-off villain. Like one movie, pull a gore, see ya, you're done.
Yeah. And I almost, I do agree with you. I mentioned yesterday or last night that, the government would be the villain of that movie. But now that I think about it, there has to be a stronger force than that, because you got two forces, the Wakandans and the Atlanteans, going up against you. Yeah. That's not a small feat. So that there's got to be a significant villain, in my opinion. You can correct me. I mean, what's your guys' thoughts?
Tuma would be, I feel like, a good enough villain where you kind of just bury him, like, just a bait and switch of like, hey, we thought it was Namor, but really it was him.
Yeah,
who caused the whole conflict. I think that would be good enough. I think if Namor sees his wrongdoing halfway through, we'll be solid to have just Tuma be the person that kind of just takes the fall.
Yeah. But they're definitely, I mean, this has kind of been a phase 4 theme where you have like, do we get like the DOD? Do we get something from them? Do we get someone who's like Sokovia Accords type of thing? Or, I could see the governments of the world just trying to get in there, right? If Wakanda has not recovered from losing their king and the destruction of Endgame over the course of 5 years, or, post blip, they're kind of open for the pickings. One random thought and last thought. Do we see any scroll intervention somewhere just kind of hidden in this movie?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
They haven't sprinkled anything really about the scrolls since Far From Home.
And you know what? That's a great point, Greg. Just because, oops, sorry, Louis, yeah, that's a great point. Just because the Secret Wars comes out, I think it's the next or the show after
Secret Invasion.
Yeah, Secret Invasion.
Does that come out before Ant-Man?
I think it's right after.
No, after. Yeah, after.
Okay, so after. Yes, so
before.
We're not getting a Marvel Disney Plus show for a while.
I almost feel like that's a good thing in a way.
Yeah, I mean they'll have their Star Wars stuff for a minute on there, so.
Yeah, this movie will need to. I don't know, man. Whatever follows, there has to be a gap. Whatever follows this up is going to be. There's going to be smaller investment. There's no way they could do a December Disney Plus show.
The Christmas special might be coming out, but that's it.
Perfect. That's perfect. I don't know if that's going to be canon or not, but that is like like an Iron Groot short, the Guardian special, whatever it might be. I think that's kind of a good play.
Really, if you look at it, the next couple projects should set up to be some devastating, like new high stakes, like tone for Marvel because you got Black Panther. We've already been talking about that. Ant-Man and Quantumania
Yep.
with Kang showing up. You got your phase prominent villain in that movie, and from the tone of that trailer that leaked, it seemed like it's going to be pretty intense for Scott Lang. And then you got Guardians 3, which is supposed to be the last one for that cast. So back to back. Secret Invasion will also be another serious one, and that'll be Nick Fury front and center. The first time you've seen him for a full project.
Yep.
And that one should also be pretty serious. So I mean, we might have a good while here where the super humor, not real serious stakes side of Marvel things is kind of not going to be around for a little bit.
Well, better enjoy those final 2 episodes of She-Hulk, baby. One random question. I just thought of this as you were talking about Guardians. Does this make you think that they're going to change, like heavily change the Adam Warlock backstory of kind of starting off as the villain turned anti-hero turned teammate? If they would be going that route with Namor? Or do you think they'll have similar character arcs?
He's just going to be kind of weird because I mean they can't have like that kind of representation with him. Or he's already been casted, so we don't have to worry about like what type of representation they're trying to throw in to that character.
Is that Will
I think he will be someone that like gains his own wisdom going forward and will kind of just be a big player, hopefully in Secret Wars like he should have been in Infinity War.
Exactly. Dude, the more we talk about this stuff, the more that this roster is getting like packed in terms of like good guys. The non-Kang team seems like it could be, I mean, the allies of the Avengers. I still think the Avengers team is soft. However, the allies of the Avengers, I mean, I think some of these characters like Deadpool, Wolverine, if Wolverine continues on, let's take him out. Fine. Deadpool, Namor, even an Adam Warlock. I think they would play a similar role to what Captain Marvel and Scarlet Witch played in Infinity War and Endgame. Just those like powerful characters who make saves, but they're not like front and center. So, you guys got anything else on the trailer? Any other final closing thoughts?
I'm ready. I hope that we don't get. They always do, but I hope this is the last of the marketing. This is the last trailer. We get a couple TV spots that show no new footage. I'm always hopeful of that, but they don't listen. So what we have is sweet. Like I feel like I don't have to see any more.
For sure.
Like this is good enough. We're a little bit over a month away from it, and the hype train is rolling.
Oh yeah,
yep, for sure.
Harry, how you feeling?
Good, and I agree with Fabian. This is a movie. Will sell with no trailer. Because of the emotional attachment to the character, emotional attachment to just the Marvel in general. This movie will sell itself, but what adds to that are the trailers. So yeah, like Fabian said, I hope that, like the TV spots, give us those, but no more trailers. Of course I wouldn't mind it. It's just more footage. No. This movie will sell itself, but I am very curious on a few things that, we will find out, and I'm super excited.
Does this movie surpass the $1 billion mark?
Oh yeah.
No.
I was actually curious, and I was going to ask you guys, how does this look box office wise?
It's going to beat Endgame.
You think it's going to beat Endgame?
I think it'll beat Endgame.
That's
there's just that it has that real world impact, you know.
Yeah.
People
True.
were waiting for this, and they haven't known what they're gonna do with what's gonna happen. The trailers are keeping it a solid mystery of what exactly is going to transpire.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good hype surrounding it.
Dang the environment is ripe for this movie to surpass, and I believe that. Now, do we think that this movie consensus will be this is the best movie of Phase 4?
Yeah,
No, I
it's
think so.
just the emotional attachment alone for sure. Well, the realism.
I will also. However, that does not anyone listening don't I would say consensus in the sense of people didn't have low expectations for this majority of going into it. Like this is a movie that had high expectations and those were exceeded. And I feel like if that is kind of what people are coming out of this and they're saying, I mean, yeah, we're talking top top two, number one
Yeah.
movie.
No, I think I'm anticipating it be a better overall film and story than even No Way Home.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. From what it sounds like, Ryan Coogler is on it with this movie and the resources that they have. I didn't say this the other day, but the Disney resources, especially from that, they've played in a lot of these cultural spaces, and he had a lot of good resources for this movie to make sure it came across the way that they feel, and they are confident that this has done Chadwick Boseman justice, done the cultural aspects justice, and done MCU fans justice. Like that's huge, huge. I'm ready
So
for it.
I just looked up. Avengers Endgame is at 2.7 billion, and I could see
Oh,
Black Panther crossing the 2 billion, but
check.
that, that-
Can you check pre second release?
It
Can
had a
we
second
do?
release.
Oh, I thought it came back. It came back in theaters. The top Avatar. I thought.
Oh yeah, I remember because they added some real worthless
Yeah.
scenes almost
I
in the
love
after
that.
credits.
I love when they do that.
yeah,
I never got the chance to go see it that weekend, but I kind of glad I didn't.
Yeah, no. That's one of
yeah,
those.
I can't check that.
Oh,
It
okay.
doesn't show.
We'll try to find it. Oh, does it have opening highest Marvel? Let's do can you see what the phase 4 highest opening weekend was? I'm assuming Spider-Man. And then just overall highest grossing opening weekend.
It's probably Spider-Man then Doctor Strange because the Doctor Strange hype that was created by the fandom was something else.
Multiverse of Madness, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still, that movie's still like it's one of those when I swish it around, I get different flavors every single time. Like it is not the same thing to me, but that's a different conversation. However, do you think this is a better setup from like obviously from a pandemic standpoint? Like that's not really relevant for a lot of people now. Different story, but like theaters are open. It is something to do. I'm curious to see if Black Adam doesn't do what Black Adam is supposed to do.
And that I
I
get the feeling that movie's gonna bomb.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's yeah, especially with all that news and like The Rock just kind of just taking the reins and trying to be like the star of the show. It's like he needs
Yeah.
like he's a villain. He's a villain character. Villains lose. Villains
yeah.
are gonna lose.
Yeah.
I will.
You're not gonna get the hero like over and over as that villain.
The only
Shazam's gonna stop
chance,
you.
the only chance that movie has is Superman.
Dude, I don't even think that it can save it. That is like those moments, unless Superman's going to be in it for an hour, that is something that I'm like, oh, Superman's in it, cool. Let me go look at it on TikTok or let me Google it or YouTube it. Like I'm still going to see the movie. But if I heard that, that to me is like as significant as the Venom 2 post-credit scene with
The
Spider-Man.
way DC has treated these characters, or Warner Brothers more accurately, it's just, I mean, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness outsold the Batman. They didn't come out at the same time, but like overall, the Batman made less money than a Doctor Strange movie. One of the most iconic characters on this planet did not draw enough human beings to go see it in a theater
It's
post
nuts.
pandemic, practically, than the guy doing magic tricks.
But do you
That
think
was
that
like a D-list character in Marvel at one point.
Yeah.
do you think that was because of the actor who played him? Some of them.
No, I think it all is 100% like the disconnect that people have with what the hell the DC universe even is.
Yeah.
What was the point of seeing that movie? That movie, if you watched that when it came out on HBO Max or you saw it in the theater, it made no difference. Absolutely no difference, in my opinion. If you miss a Marvel movie, you definitely get that feeling of FOMO. I missed out on something. It was an event.
Yeah.
Like whether you end up liking these movies or not for Marvel, like when you're in that crowd with people, they're gonna be hyped for it regardless.
Yep,
Going in, there'll be critiques and whatnot afterwards, like always,
for sure.
but you're always looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. And even to that point with Batman, that just goes to show how if Marvel doesn't play their cards right, just because you put an Avengers movie out doesn't mean it's going to make Avengers Endgame level money. Like you still have to put in the work. So for fans who think, oh, they're just throwing these characters in front of our faces, they're just doing this. Guys, they have a plan. They are the best studio on earth, probably since the dawn of movie time. Like they are still putting in the work to make sure that these things work until they decide that they don't. So for I mean, I kind of was on that, like, ooh, phase 4, like, who knows what's going to happen. But if this last week and a half, 2 weeks, and today haven't kind of shown you that they're just like, they kind of flex their muscles a little bit and they're just like, we're still Marvel Studios. So what are you guys talking about? I don't know.
So they obviously know what they're doing, but my only real concern is since they don't own the rights to Spider-Man, what is Sony gonna do to mess this up? Are they gonna do some stupid stipulation like beyond asking for more money to get him to still be playing parts in the MCU, in his new shiny suit, and everyone forgot who he was, to get him to have another trilogy, to get him to be in Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty, to get him to be a main player on those teams like he should be.
I
Like
mean,
it's tough.
one day I think that Disney will eventually claim Spider-Man for their own and all characters that go with them because I think Sony, I don't know. I think outside of whatever Marvel Studios does, think about it. If you take away Tom Holland's Spider-Man and any connections with Sony, when do you ever really hear Sony? I'm not the biggest Venom fan. I do not think that the Madam Web movie coming out is great. We obviously know how Morbius went. Like, at some point, you can only put so many duds out there before fans, especially now.
Nah,
in
man.
this,
When are we doing the El Muerte podcast? This is a legendary character. He deserves at least a 2-hour session.
at
Bad
least,
Bunny, the biggest artist on the planet, the greatest wrestler of all time.
dude,
Man,
their decision making though, like, would I watch it? Yeah. But is that going to be like, hey man, this is the movie that put Sony on the Venomverse on the map or whatever it might be? I don't know if they're going to continue on forward, but
it just gets me because that's a character that had 2 issues of comic appearances as a Spider-Man villain, and you want to make a movie about him with no Spider-Man, just to what, to keep the film rights?
honestly, probably. And even then, it's why choose that character and keep the rights from that standpoint. I don't know if there's anything else that would be linked to that, but Harry, wouldn't you be excited if Venom just got away from Sony and stuck around in the MCU for a long time?
Oh yeah, I would definitely. I was really excited to have Tom Hardy's Venom in the MCU, but then he left for whatever reason. So that was a Debbie Downer.
So
But yeah, I agree.
I don't like those movies, but I still would stick with Tom Hardy for the MCU Venom.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
still bring him over. I think he is still a great actor. I don't
Agree.
entirely like how silly he portrays Eddie Brock in those movies, but I still feel like if he's in the right hands with the right writers and directors, he will make money. He will make an amazing character. Like his little relationship and banter with Venom himself. Venom is himself is the best part of those movies. Like that is my biggest compliment to those movies, is that Venom himself, that personality, was perfect.
Hey man, they did that. Think about him being under like a Ryan Coogler kind of director, or someone who like really owns their style, or like even the Russos. That's what I think is missing from Phase 4, to be honest with you, is not necessarily, I know that it's difficult. I don't know personally, but I can understand why it would be difficult to kind of like own a phase, essentially, and direct huge movies, because every Marvel movie, for the most part, carries a lot of weight. This is not Phase 1 or even 2. But if they can get someone who can kind of own that back half of the closing of a saga and really just like be the closer kind of director, or just that the Russo, like give the Russo effect to someone and let them kind of own that ending. I think that's how you look at, you know, both sagas side by side, and you're just like, man, I cannot decide which one was better.
Yeah.
Very difficult thing to say. I don't know, man. In the end, the multiverse saga might beat the Infinity Saga.
We'll
Money
see.
wise, probably.
Yeah.
They're gonna get more revenue for it.
But overall quality of content,
I think it's gonna vary for people, man. And like I was saying
For sure.
yesterday, is just it's a genre. There's gonna be genre differences, and not everything's gonna be for everybody. You're gonna eventually. I wouldn't put it past them to make like a Superbad or a Step Brothers type of movie with some lesser known Marvel heroes. Like they're gonna make like rom-coms. They're gonna make like stoner movies. They're gonna do whatever genre is gonna suit and get more people into those theaters that have never seen them before. They'll go as far as to make them a Dia style movie, like at someday. Like y'all like Medea, we tapped her in. She's canon now.
That's wild. But true. But true. But is there going to be that kind of consensus? Like, think about Infinity War and Endgame, right? Those are kind of like, regardless of how you feel about movies, especially if you were there, like, you might not be a fan, but everyone else is like, oh my God, like, they're grabbing chairs, kicking, standing, cheering. Like, you just start clapping too, and you're like, okay, yeah. Like, you know, you like play the Homelander music on TikTok. Like, you start hearing, like, all right, all right. Like, I'm waiting for that saga style of movie. Again, Black Panther might be that consensus of like, ooh, wow. But I think it'll take, you know, Secret Wars or King Dynasty to really be that equivalent for obvious reasons. So, but
For sure.
gentlemen, I appreciate the time. It has been fantastic. Fabian, Harry, thank you for joining. Raha and Don, thank you for the comments. If you guys are watching this after it's posted, this is the Forging Theories MCU podcast. We will see these lovely gentlemen back again, and we're missing him, but Mr. Jalapeno, another fresh perspective that we'll bring in. We have Black Adam coming up, and then we have, bam, Wakanda Forever, Black Panther 2. Going to be a fantastic end to the cinema year. Don't forget about She-Hulk last 2 episodes and Werewolf by Night. Check back to the page. We'll be breaking those down as well, and we'll see you guys in the next one.